America, land of liberty, law, and life insurance. Hello and welcome to the Durham Talents channel. My name is Jesse Durham. For today's episode, I would like to discuss America, a land of liberty, law, and life insurance. Sure, that's a play on words. It's a bit poetic, but really, because of recent reading in different areas, and I'll just go ahead and tell you, I've been reading some from the encouragement of choir director at my church to read the words, the lyrics of hymns and songs that we have. And I actually ended up at one point in the patriotic section reading My Country, 'Tis of Thee, and the Star-Spangled Banner, and the National Anthem, America the Beautiful. Just listen to some of these words. Sweet land of liberty, land where my fathers died. You know, I had somebody ask me the other day about where I'm from and how long had my family been here, and I believe it's 4 greats ahead of me, so a great-great-great-great-grandfather in the same county within a matter of miles. Pretty interesting, really. That's as far as I've gone so far. But land of the noble free. That's another line. Land of the noble free. That's beautiful. Our Father's God, to thee, author of liberty, to thee we sing. And then, long may our land be bright with freedom's holy light. So just beautiful words there. I would encourage you to read those. I've recently read The Law by Frederick Bastiat, and I've mentioned this in other episodes here recently. Frederick Bastiat, a man that, economist, statesman that lived during the French Revolution. So just some interesting things that, of course, do actually tie into a conversation about becoming your own banker, implementing the infinite banking concept. Because of those 3 things that I've mentioned, we are a land of liberty, and I'll start right there. But liberty, law, and life insurance. So why bring that up about liberty? Well, the sentiment behind things like we hold these truths to be self-evident, and the pursuit of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. There, I'm using the word pursuit frequently, but we are burdened with the freedom of choice. Mankind, not just Americans, but mankind is burdened and given the opportunity of free choice. Now, how does that correlate to becoming your own banker? Because I can choose to or not to engage with a mutual life insurance company. It's not compulsory. And that is really interesting. And maybe it ties into the law portion here pretty soon, but we're talking about liberty. I have the freedom. I have the liberty to remain as ignorant or as knowledgeable about things as I want to. I have the freedom to abdicate the banking function to others and let them profit from it, or I can re-ascertain that right for myself. So these are liberties that we have choice. We can pick to have a properly structured whole life policy with a mutual company that pays dividends or not. We can choose to believe the conventional financial dogma that's out there in this society that we are birthed into, financial slavery, wherein we're birthed into financial slavery, but we can freely contract with one another. Goods and services can be exchanged by free agents, free peoples, just agreeing on the terms and conditions and just find mutually beneficial interactions amongst ourselves. It's a beautiful thing. It's not necessarily the case everywhere, so that's why I'm mentioning it. It's a wonderful thing that we have here to be able to freely contract as private individuals or companies with one another, or not, and to have private property. Well, let's talk about that point. It's because we live in a land of liberty that private property comes into play, because not everywhere can you have private property. Now, I believe it's a human right to have property, to have ownership of some things. But that's not the case everywhere, or it's not respected everywhere. It's not possible everywhere, but it is here. And that is exactly what a properly structured whole life policy is it's a private asset. It's a piece of property that you own. And then if I can use another line from America the Beautiful, I wrote this one down in particular. It says, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. And that section there about thy liberty in law, that's my segue to this next point, this next theme, because in addressing liberty and having the liberty to freely contract with each other and to own private property. I mean, Willie Sutton's law, for example, is addressed in Nelson's book. He says, wherever wealth is accumulated, someone will try and steal it. Willie Sutton was an infamous bank robber, for example. Well, that's what we have laws for. We are a land of laws. Now, we might be too much of a litigious society now, for sure, but there are laws there, and law is going to mean something different to someone else. So again, you can let me know down in the comment section your thoughts on any of these subjects. I'd be very interested to hear. But I would encourage you to read The Law by Frederick Boschiat like I did, to have a bigger context of what I'll share here, where he said, and I agree, that law is justice. That was his definition. He said that law is simply justice. So if I have private property and that is taken from me by force or in my absence, it behooves us to have justice in that situation. It behooves us to have a law that will reiterate the injustice of that private property being taken from me or from you. And in a law in a land that upholds such laws, you can have these kinds of contracts that I'm talking about upheld by the law as well. So when a contract is made, when a mutually beneficial contract is made, where I agree to pay premiums to a mutual life insurance company, a premium that I have picked and that I want to pay for that asset, and that insurance company has agreed to provide for me a guaranteed death benefit and a guaranteed cash value and the opportunity to earn dividends from the general performance, etc. It's side of the terms. That unilateral contract, that private agreement, that private contract is protected by law. And in fact, every state has its own insurance commission department, and there are laws. It's a highly regulated space, insurance is. And in this land of law, private contracts such as those are upheld, meaning that, well, okay, if I stop paying premiums and the premiums are not met like I had agreed to, that insurance company is not going to be compelled to still pay me a death benefit, because I did not keep up my end of the deal, my end of the contract. Likewise, if I'm paying my insurance premiums and that insurance company were to want to say, well, we're not going to pay that, and there's no other issue that's relevant, well, the law would protect me in that sense, in that case. So because we are a land of liberty, because we are a land of law, this is possible. And it's also protected. And I had this thought when I was thinking about these things from reading these books and that hymn and planning this particular podcast episode, because I'd just been on a patriotic, on a capitalistic mindset, I guess, that a land with liberty and law can have life insurance. Because if there weren't liberty, if we were talking about compulsory things, changes the conversation. If we were talking about instances where we're in a lawless land, anything goes, promises aren't kept, agreements aren't kept, honesty is broken, the conversation has changed. But because we are a land of liberty and we are a land of law, we can have life insurance. And interesting point, one of the characteristics, because I often talk about properly structured whole life insurance with mutual companies that pay dividends being the ideal asset. It's not an investment, but it's an asset. I believe it's the ideal asset. And there are 16 reasons why that's so, in my opinion. And one of those is protection against litigation. And it's different from state to state, but there are laws that protect life insurance, different from other financial products, different from other assets. And because it's life insurance, it's protection against financial loss from losing someone's life. So the final theme of life insurance itself being possible because America is a land of liberty and law. It's not a new thing. Life insurance predates the IRS, predates the Fed, predates the automobile, predates America, predates manned flight, predates a trip to the moon. I mean, it's been around. It stood a test of time. It's not new. And it still amazes me that this product has been around as long as it has, and it's still just such a valuable product and service that's offered in the marketplace. I mean, what an amazing thing that because as a country, and I know there are others that have life insurance, other countries, but as a country, we really do value life. In lots of ways, we're moving away from that, but be that as it may, we really do value life. And because we do have such a value on life as one of those key, core, God-given rights, you have the right to life, I have the right to life, we can have life insurance. Because we're of like mind in that life is so important of a right that we can actually mitigate the risk of losing life. That my children, Jacob and Josiah and Lana, 9 years old, 7 years old, 3 years old, they each have a policy on them already, have had for a while now, and we value their lives so much so, more for the living benefits. I mean, that's the emphasis here on our channel. We actually focus on the living benefits of owning properly structured IBC-style policies. But at the end of the day, there's a 100% graduation rate from this life to the next. Okay, we're all going to die. It's just a matter of when. So when you're talking about whole life insurance that you have for your whole life, and you know that a time is going to come for us to pass, it's a beautiful thing to think that you could have for a family, you could have that kind of guaranteed whole life protection on the coverage side of things, the protection side of things, no doubt. But then also that you could, because there is this beautiful product out there, and because it can be constructed by a proper professional for the banking purpose with mutual companies that pay dividends, you can have these living benefits, an entity that you can own and control over your lifetime to account for your need of finance. You can use that as a privatized banking entity and have all the living benefits of compounding your money, maintaining access to your money, maintaining control over your money, and do so in an intergenerational, tax-free, transferring way. It's amazing. It's wonderful. So the track record that life insurance has here in America, I don't know that it's anywhere else. Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. Does it exist as mutual life insurance companies like we have here in America with the same track record? And really, when you do look back in time and you look back at our grandparents or even great-grandparents that had whole life insurance policies and how they viewed it in their time. I mean, I know that because of the qualified plan and mutual funds that there has been emphasis placed elsewhere conventionally. Again, I'll point out all day long and twice on Sundays that everybody's overlooking the banking function. We're talking about rates of return and this and that, and we're just completely overlooking the banking function in our lives that's been abdicated to someone else. And they're experiencing all the ownership and control and the profitability therein. But our grandparents and our great-parents thought whole life insurance was a great place to put money. And there's a lot of history there. And that's such an interesting thing to think that somebody who, for probably not their entire lifetime, had experienced indoor plumbing, still had whole life insurance. So I think that ties in beautifully with Nash's first core principle, which is thinking long range. You know, anybody that goes about the business of paying money to procure protection for themselves, for the benefit of their loved ones, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. I can't leave too much death benefit for my family. There's not a big enough number. There's not a number that's too big for me. Okay? I think that's a beautiful thing that people would proactively, intentionally go about procuring products that would provide for their loss of life to their beneficiaries, to their heirs. It's a beautiful thing. And these mutual companies that offer whole life policies, they don't just exist just anywhere in the world, and certainly not with the track record. So here's my encouragement. My encouragement is you can become your own banker. Why? Because we live in America, land of liberty, law, and yes, life insurance. So if you'd like to have a conversation about how to implement the infinite banking concept into your household or your business or your investing, then reach out to me and let's have that conversation. This has been a great pleasure for me. Look forward to our next conversation. Have a great day. Take care. Long may our land be bright with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy might, great God, our King.